Good morning. My name is Kelly Tolman, and I am the director and founder of Seneca Choices for Life. Quick show of hands, who's familiar with Seneca here in town? Awesome. Seneca is a crisis pregnancy center located actually beside our local abortion facility here in town. The local abortion facility is called Columbus Women's Health Organization, and the only health services that they offer is abortion. Before I ever talk about anything abortion related or unplanned pregnancy related, I always want to put this out there, that there are women sitting in these pews who have had an abortion. There are families whose lives have been changed and altered from abortion. There have been people in these pews that have taken other people to get an abortion. And I want you to know that there is healing available for whatever pain you might be experiencing. It's really important to remember that the Lord will forgive you, and that sometimes those circumstances are very difficult, and we make decisions in the moment. When we opened Seneca, we, as quickly as we started having women experiencing unplanned pregnancy walk in, we also had women walk in who said, I had an abortion 30 years ago, and I've never told anyone, and I need help. And so we realized very quickly that there was a great need. And what I remind all of these women and men and families who come to us who've gone through something like this, that God forgave you the first time you asked, but now you have to work on forgiving yourself. Our team at Seneca understands abortion to be maybe something a little bit different than most people. Most people think about the pro-life issue, and very quickly it becomes about statistics. It's always about statistics. So what are the statistics? Okay, well, since 1973 and the passing of Roe v. Wade, we have had 57 million abortions in the United States. 57 million. Abortion is legal all 9 months of pregnancy for the health of a mother. Health, Doe versus Bolton, same court case, 1973, defined health to mean even the emotional stability of a mom, maybe her familial situation, financial situation, if dad's in the picture. Lots of different things can define what health means. And so abortion is available in the United States as a legal option for pregnancy for lots of different reasons. What does that mean for Columbus? Well, our abortion facility here in Columbus, we have about 20 to 25, maybe about 23 average abortions per week here in Columbus, and that's just at the Columbus Women's Health Organization. That's the equivalent of a kindergarten class every single week. That is about 1,500 abortions a year. Okay, so those are the statistics. But for our staff, and for that woman in that unplanned pregnancy, it's not about statistics. It's about the woman standing in front of us. It's about the family right in front of us. It's about her story, because women who receive abortions and families affected by abortion are not statistics. They are our friends, they are our sisters, they are our cousins, they sometimes are our mothers. They are fellow churchgoers sitting beside you in pews. Women who receive abortions don't choose abortion. They get abortions because they feel like they have no choice. Women who choose abortion feel hopeless. They feel scared. They feel alone. They feel trapped. I know I did. I tried to abort my son 3 times. 3 separate times at 3 separate abortion facilities. I felt as a teen and pregnant, I had no other option. Praise God that there was hope available for me. Praise God that he intervened over and over and over again. Even though I wasn't talking to him and asking for his help, he was still there for me. My son is 15, and I'm so thankful for his life. But what quickly happened after I chose to keep that pregnancy, I started to think, oh my gosh, why are there not more resources available? There are so many families going through what I went through. And so I would go out to the local abortion facility and I would pray. And as I would pray, I saw myself in every single one of those women walking in. What can be done? They need hope. This being the first Sunday of Advent, we celebrate something very special. We celebrate the coming of Christ. Our Lord, the King of Kings, coming to us as a baby in a manger for our sake. He is our hope. And his birth, his life, his death, and his resurrection has given us that gift. And as Christians, we know it and we feel it in our hearts. And sometimes the light is dim. Sometimes we are questioning, Lord, are you here with me? Are you listening to me? But I can assure you, he is. Our culture tells us that hope is something else. Our hope is something that may happen. Hope is something, I hope we have pizza for dinner. I hope I get that job. But hope in the Bible, Christ's hope, scriptural hope, that is hope that we can be certain about. And so what do we do with that hope? And how can we offer that to somebody else? As Christians, we have this incredible gift, and we celebrate it, and we're excited about it, but we know there are so many people who don't have it, who don't know the hope of Christ, and they are suffering with very real problems, very real darkness, very real hopelessness. But that hope is alive in each and every one of our hearts. The Spirit is burning very bright. So what do we do? And how do we offer hope to women in an unplanned pregnancy? Because I am here today to talk to you about Seneca because I truly believe that abortion, the abortion epidemic, is the greatest Holocaust of our time with 57 million abortions. 1 out of 3 women in the United States have had abortions. 70% of those women identify as church-going. Mother Teresa said that abortion was the greatest destroyer of peace in our world, and she's seen some things. But she came here and looked at all we have and identified our greatest poverty as the legality and abortion on demand. Very quickly, when we started Seneca and the process started, we would have volunteers come all the time. And volunteers and supporters that go to churches, and we would hear people say things like, oh my goodness, look at all those women going into that abortion facility. Don't they know better? How could they do that? I would never do that. Look at that nice car. They can afford a child. What are they doing? And it became painfully aware to our staff that they were missing the program, that it's not about that. And so our team at Seneca decided to kind of pull together a project called Hope in the Darkness. And what that was is it was making the abortion issue personal. It was taking real stories of real women and real families, and it was really talking about what are they walking through? Why does abortion happen? Why, if it's legal, do we believe it's wrong? Why are we feeling like, why do I feel like the Lord has put Seneca's ministry right beside the local abortion facility to offer hope? Hope for what? And what does that look like? So what we did was we took some scenarios of women, families, men, children, and we put them together anonymously. Some of these women are still walking with us. Some of these women, we've had the same scenario more than once. Some of the scenarios aren't there, and some of the scenarios have moved on to be incredible families, and some have chosen abortion, and we're walking through that with them on the other side. But we can't solve a problem, and we can't be a light for, and we can't offer hope for women experience something that we don't understand. And so I want to share with you the personal stories of women and their families, and then you'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. Once we have an idea of what women are walking through and what they're struggling with, we then have a 3-step approach to helping women. Seneca has very specific set of criteria that all of our volunteers and staff abide by while serving families. And that is number 1, loving each member of the situation, each member of that family, each victim, if the abortion has already happened, loving them authentically and completely. That means we're not just loving the unborn child. That means we're loving mom and we're loving dad every single time. And how do we serve all 3 of them while upholding their dignity and also while glorifying God? So that's step 1. Step 2 is rolling up your sleeves, being the hands and feet of Christ, doing what it takes to get done. And finally, it's trusting that God is there with us. It's trusting that He is our hope. And if He's our hope, that means that 1, we are never alone, and 2, that God's grace will follow us wherever He leads us. And that is true for these women, and that is true for these men, and that is true for these babies, and that is true for our volunteers, and that is true for our community. That God's grace will be there every step of the way. And that if we trust, He will give us the strength to overcome anything He's put us in front of us. If we trust that, then we can conquer anything. So here are some of the scenarios. And when I'm going to share these with you, I want you to think about mom in this situation, I want you to think about dad in this situation, and I want you to think about the baby in this situation. And some of these situations are hard. And I want you to think through it. What would you do in this scenario? What would you say to somebody in this scenario? How could you help somebody in this scenario? Here's the first one. My husband is deploying in 3 weeks. We just moved here, and I'm suffering with terrible depression. I feel so alone. How can I manage being pregnant and alone right now? It was a difficult time in my marriage. Regrettably, I had an affair. My husband and I are back together. We want to work things out, but I'm pregnant from a one-night stand. If I continue this pregnancy, I'll risk losing my marriage. How can I take that chance? Are we thinking about lesser of two evils here? Because sometimes the secular world tells us that that's what the abortion option is. It's the lesser of two evils. My husband and 3 children and I just lost our home after I was let go from my job for missing too many days of work. My 2-year-old has an autoimmune disorder and gets very sick. I have to take off work to take her to the doctor, and we couldn't make ends meet. How can I afford another baby right now? I said no, but he didn't care. Now I'm pregnant. How can I give birth to my rapist son? My unborn baby has Down syndrome. I already have other children at home. How can I find the time and the money and the strength to care for this baby? There's a lot of scenarios that we see every day at Seneca. All of these are scenarios that we've heard. All of these are scenarios that we've had to walk with families through. And a lot of people ask me all the time, Kelly, how can you ever tell this woman, any of these families, that they need to continue this pregnancy? My job as a disciple of Christ, my job as somebody who has his light shining within me, my job is to be a beacon of hope. And remember what I said in the beginning, being a beacon of hope is not just for that baby. Being a beacon of hope is for the baby, for mom, and for dad, for the rest of the family. And that means loving all of them in that situation authentically. That means that we have to be more than pro-birth at Seneca. We can't just say, well, good luck with that baby. Because what brought them to the abortion facility in the first place was something serious enough that they felt like they were not equipped to journey into parenthood. So our job is to offer immediate and long-term help for these women. I'm going to give you another scenario, and I'm going to share with you a story of how Seneca was able to help her. And it will give you an idea of what our job is at Seneca to offer hope in a way that affirms the whole family. My husband hurts me. I have tried to leave, but it is so hard. The local shelters are always full, and I don't know anyone that can take me in. How can I bring an innocent baby into this situation? How can anyone tell her to bring a baby into a situation where that baby could be beaten, siblings are being beaten, mom's being beaten? A few months ago, we had a woman come to the abortion facility next door. And as she was walking in, our team was out there and we were praying, and she said, please pray for me, but don't pray I don't have this abortion. This story for me is that my husband hurts me, and I have many other children at home, and I'm pregnant again. He forces himself on me to keep me pregnant, and then he looks at me and says, look at you and all those kids. Who's going to want you? Who's going to support you? You can't support yourself alone. You can't leave me. And so she's pregnant again with her fifth. And she said, I have an escape plan. I have planned for a U-Haul to come next Friday while he's at work. And actually, she planned it to be 1 hour, where that's how long she knew if somebody called and told him it would take for him to drive home and get the U-Haul. So she had 1 hour to bring in that U-Haul, get everything out of her house, all her kids, and whatever she couldn't fit in that hour left behind, and she was out. She found a job, she found a home, and she had saved money. Her escape plan was happening, and she said, I cannot do this pregnant. I can't. And so we honored her request to not pray that she didn't get the abortion, because those weren't words she needed. She needed hope. She needed something other than for me to point my finger at her and tell her, you shouldn't do this because this is wrong. So we prayed for God's will to be done, because we know that God's will is for that whole family to strive and to thrive and to find peace and safety and security. So we prayed for God's will to be done in that situation. And she tearfully thanked us, and she went into the abortion facility. And that was a really hard day for our team. A lot of our days are hard. And we prayed for her. And the next day, I got a phone call, and it was her. And she said, there were people outside your clinic, and you all said you could help me. Is that true? And I thought that she was calling because she was regretting her decision to abort and she needed post-abortive care. And so I was explaining how we could help. And she said, no, I didn't get the abortion. I sat in the abortion clinic for hours, and I have no idea why I didn't get it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I left. But I'm still in the same horrible situation I was in, and I need help. And now I'm $300 short. See, the way she had saved money to escape was she took $20 out of every paycheck for the last year and a half. That $20 then went to her 11-year-old daughter, and that 11-year-old daughter hid that $20 in her purse, in her book bag, and brought it to school every day to keep it from him finding it and stealing it, and then beating her for having it. Imagine. And she was counting out the money, and she realized she just didn't have enough for the down payment on the rent, and it just didn't work out mathematically. And she said, I need help, I'm $300 short. And when we said, okay, come, let's help. And sure enough, she showed up in her U-Haul with her things, with her children, and she walked in, and because of our incredible donors and because of our incredible supporters and our incredible volunteers, we got together $1,500 to give her that down payment, and all that money she saved can go to groceries or a meal on the road. Now that was something very small to do, but this moment changed this family's lives. And very tearfully, she put everything into perspective for all of us. She said, this baby for me was such a problem. This baby was not a baby. This was a problem, and I needed a solution for this baby, and that's why I came to the abortion facility. But where was God? God was walking with her the whole entire time. God's grace was there. Hope that he promises was there in the darkest of places. At the abortion clinic's doors, he was still providing for her. He led her to us. And she said, and now, this baby to us is the reason we can escape. This baby to us is our little hero. He is a blessing that has allowed us to change our life for the good. Lord offers hope. The Lord is always there for us. His grace always follows us. It is never about what is the lesser of two evils when it comes to upholding the dignity of every human being. If we trust that the Lord will be there for us, and we love each member of a situation with our whole hearts, and we don't doubt his grace, then we can offer real hope and know that God's always going to show up. We felt very certain about our mission and our role early on in Seneca because of how we got our start. A little bit about my background. I have a Homeland Security degree, which I jokingly tell people makes me qualified to just tell you what the safest exit to leave a building is. Other than that, I can't do anything with it. And so I have no background in leading a medical facility. My resume does not make me appropriate for this job. The only thing I have is the light of Christ and an unplanned pregnancy. That's what I have. And when we started Seneca, we knew early on that we wanted a facility close to the abortion clinic because we wanted to be able to offer hope to women in those most darkest moments. And I went to actually go sign paperwork for a building down the road, about a block away from the abortion facility, and I was sitting there, I felt like I just couldn't sign it. Something came over me, and I was actually pregnant at the time, so they probably thought I was a crazy pregnant lady, but I sat there and I said, the realtors were there and lawyers were there, and sorry, can't do it. I have no idea why, but I cannot sign this paperwork, and I wish I could explain it, and I know you're all really frustrated with me, so I'm gonna leave. Thank you. And I walked down the road, and I stood in front of the abortion facility where I so often go to pray. Odd, but yes. And I stood there, and there was a woman who was also there praying, and she said to me, Kelly, go in that building right beside the abortion facility and ask them, get that building. And I said, I only have $3,000 in the bank. I can't buy a building. And that business has been there for 30 years. And she said, just go. And I felt something very strongly inside of me leading me in there. So I did, and they said, actually, when I walked in the door, The owner of the building is medically retiring, and the building will be available. A long story short, they gave us 90 days to raise $225,000. So we had a very official board meeting at Burger King, and none of us are qualified to do this job, and we decided that we were going to go for it. Because if this is what God wanted, he was going to show up. If he wanted us to offer hope in this space, in this way, he was going to make it happen. And if it didn't happen, it wasn't his will. So we started fundraising in October. And the really neat part about it is that when we counted on the calendar 90 days, the day we had our meeting and the day we had to give the lawyers a yes or no, it actually brought us to Christmas morning, the 90th day. And we thought, wow, if that's not God giving us a little wink, right? And so we went for it, and we started raising money. And on December 23rd, our bank account had $100,000 in it, which is so much money, but it is not enough. And I was calling people back who were asking me, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? And I said, I don't know. Mathematically, it's not adding up. So we'll see. And one of our supporters, I called back, she said, can you meet me at the mall tomorrow? And I was thinking, like, everyone with 4 kids wants to go to the mall on Christmas Eve. And but I met her because she's a lovely person and her husband's fabulous. And so I met her there. And she walked to Kinetic Credit Union and transferred $160,000 into our bank account on Christmas Eve. That is God showing up. That is God saying, I want this. This is the time that I want this community to offer hope to these women and these families in a very specific way. And I'm going to tell you where I want you. And I'm going to make you very aware that it is my doing, not yours. He moved mountains to put us there. And praise God, we're there. Being at Seneca has been a gift in so many ways because we're able to serve the whole family. We are able to offer women hope that is more than a good luck. We are able to shine our light and invite them to shine in that light as well. These women come to know Christ. They come to know their families. They come to know their children. We are able to offer through our parents' closet clothing, baby furniture. We have homeschool moms that come in and tutor our ladies for their GED. We just had another one of our girls studying for their GED. She passed her test last week. Awesome. We are able to help with support group. We have a new mom support group. We're able to help dads. We help them find jobs. We write their resumes. We walk with them too. Because it's our job to authentically love all of them. And if you come to us and you've already had an abortion, we're going to share in that grief with you, and we're going to walk through that pain with you, and we're going to come to the other side of it because you deserve that, and because that's what Christ calls us to do. Because our only hope is in him. So thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you were ministered to by the message today. To keep up with all things that God is doing through the Fort Church, visit our website at fortchurch.org or follow us on Facebook. You can also contribute to this ministry by giving online at fortchurch.org/give.